We are a group of students from the Development Planning Unit at UCL working with SLURC in the Action Learning Partnership. Our diverse team comprises of Alejandra from Colombia, Lucian from the UK, Khalid from Kuwait, Wendy from Indonesia, Yaqub from Lebanon, Carolina from Nicaragua, and Shatik from Kazakhstan. We are focusing on CKG, composed of Crabtown, Colletown, and Greybush, located in the historic centre of Freetown. We are here to explore the conditions that produce and reproduce risk cycles, which accumulate in what we call hotspot areas in CKG. This will help to inform the development of strategies to disrupt risk traps. Our research suggests that risk traps in CKG are a product of the correlation between people's capacity to act and hazard hotspots. From our research, hazard hotspots are supported by two factors: physical environment and the flow of people. To have a better understanding of hazard hotspots, it is essential to explore the historical events that shaped CKG. Its origins date back to the 1970s, when the construction of the National Stadium, workers trying to reduce transportation costs established themselves adjacent to the stadium in what used to be called Sierra Leone Railway land. The settlement expanded as continuous migration influxes searched for livelihood opportunities towards Congo Valley River and settlements southwards in municipal land located along the riverbank, originating Crabtown in 1977. In 1983, while the country was immersed in an economic crisis, informal developments grew northwards up to Whiteman's Bay and towards the Kingdom landfill, conforming Colletown. Nowadays, CKG has an estimated population of 12,500 inhabitants in an area of about 25 acres. This is CKG back in 2005, and this is CKG today. As you have noticed, land reclamation is a common practice, and people are settling by the river and the landfill despite the hazardous characteristics of these areas. In Kingdom landfill, the presence of untreated leachates, frequent waste burning, and unsorted waste creates a range of hazards for the neighbouring communities. Respiratory and dermal diseases, food poisoning, and injuries are some of the health risks that have to be faced by people in CKG, predominantly by those living in Colletown. Despite these hazards, the landfill plays a contradictory role of endangering the inhabitants while also providing economic livelihoods through waste picking and agriculture. In Congo Valley River, risks are exacerbated when the rainy season arrives. With the increased volume of rivers and solid waste blocking the drains, floods are likely to occur, mainly on low elevation areas. This causes the spread of disease vectors and recurring asset losses for certain households. With deforestation, mudslides also occur in low-lying areas along the river. Moving back to the diagram, our research shows that risk traps are also influenced by people's capacity to act. This capacity is manifested into three spectrums: individuals and communities, partnerships and alliances, and political commitments. A range of community organizations, cooperatives, and saving groups are concentrated in the settlement, and involvement in programs and interventions indicates a willingness to alleviate everyday risks in the area. But these groups largely depend on funding by international NGOs for targeted interventions, and their reach may be limited because local and national governments are largely absent. As a result, individual families are prominent actors in efforts to mitigate risk traps. Our preliminary diagnosis has helped us understand CKG and the dialectic relationship between hazard hotspots and people's capacity to act. However, we believe by asking better questions, the better our answers will be to inform strategies for risk disruption. Hence, from our diagram, we have composed several guiding questions which our fieldwork plan will hopefully help us answer. For the top part of our diagram, we have three guiding questions. 1. To what extent does systematic interventions mitigate risks for people living in hotspot areas? And this includes asking, who are the beneficiaries? How and where are those interventions distributed? What are the impacts of these interventions? 2. To what extent do individuals or communities have power to mitigate risks? For example, how do financial circumstances, self-organizing groups or networks play a role in their capacity to act? 3. What enabling environment exists that either undermine or improve capacity to act? For example, are there policies, legislations, or economic influences that play a role? To reaffirm our understanding of hazard hotspots, we propose the following question. To what extent do historical flows of people increase exposure and vulnerability to hazard hotspots? For example, how do push and pull factors affect the flow of people moving into hazardous areas? Does densification have a role to play in directing the flow of people? Ultimately, we believe that your support and guidance will help us navigate our research, refine our questions to get better answers. Thank you for your time.